what do we call it? Tenure recognition? Right?
Yes.
You're live. One more second. Mr. Toto, we're all set.
Thank you, Dr. Bloom. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Tuesday, June 8th, 2020 meeting. I think one of our most favorite because we get the opportunity to recognize some of our amazing teachers that will be receiving tenure this evening. At this time, will everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
which
for which
stands
it stands, one nation,
nation,
under God, indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty and
and
justice
for all.
for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Ms. Meoni,
Yes, I'd like to do a roll call, please. Mr. Toto,
here.
Ms. Hoffman,
Here.
Mr. Curcio,
Here.
Ms. Hanson,
Here.
Mr. Leader,
Here.
Mr. Bowles,
Here.
Mr. DeLuca,
Here.
Ms. Gallagher,
Here.
and Ms. Hennessy. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Meoni. I'd like to take note that all board members are present and accounted for. At this time, I take a motion to approve the agenda.
Move it. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Dr. Bloom?
Thank you, Mr. Toto and the board. Good evening, everyone. I would like to just take a moment to thank our reentry committee for meeting on such short notice yesterday afternoon after we received official word that the CDC and New York State Department of Health and governor would provide districts with the option of allowing students and staff to not wear a mask while outdoors. The committee acted quickly and all schools have now implemented the new procedures today. While students and staff may continue to wear a mask if they wish, it is no longer required outdoors. And I certainly know this is not the outcome that was potentially expected from the governor after the release of the letter on Friday, but please know that we acted as quickly as possible to provide the additional flexibility that was allowed under the law. And so again, I just want to thank the committee for their work on that. Tonight, we will be recommending 2 candidates to the Board of Education for approval of tenure. And I am honored to welcome them along with their families to this live stream meeting. As I've said in the past, tenure is not a rite of passage. And in order to receive tenure, teachers go through an extensive training. They're evaluated on a regular basis throughout the year, complete required continuing teacher and leader education hours, and must complete at least 4 years unless receiving prior credit in a district. And while this is a celebration, it is important to point out that not everyone makes it to this momentous moment. The tenure candidates you will hear about tonight are passionate about teaching and learning. And they have demonstrated over the past few years, and certainly this past year and a half, that they are problem solvers. They are lifelong learners, and they care deeply about our students who are in their care. Receiving tenure is the beginning, not the end, and I trust that Ms. Contino and Ms. Diorio will continue to grow and learn and share with their colleagues and students for years to come. Tonight, our principals will be sharing a little bit more about each of the candidates for tenures. So I'm going to just share my screen momentarily. Just make sure that I have this ready to go in a presentation format. See if this is going to work. There we go. All right, Mr. Toto, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, I can.
All right, and hopefully it's full screen now. So I'm going to invite Mr. Riccobono to speak on behalf of, oh, I'm sorry, this is Ms. Contino, on behalf of Ms. Diorio. Mr. Riccobono?
Good evening, everybody.
It is with great pleasure that I recommend Ms. Jean Diorio for the appointment of tenure in the Franklin Square School District. She is a dedicated and passionate special education co-teacher who continuously seeks ways to improve her instructional practice, infuse new techniques and strategies into her lessons, and is committed to each student's social and emotional well-being and growth. Ms. Diorio has created a nurturing, positive, and engaging learning environment where students can be found utilizing a variety of Kagan cooperative learning strategies, hands-on materials, technologies, and graphic organizers. She is a valuable member of the John Street School's 5th and 6th grade inclusion teams, often analyzing and sharing student data with her colleagues that is designed to facilitate students' growth and learning. Ms. Diorio is an integral member of the entire John Street School community, having participated as a teacher in our ISP Extended Day, Extended School Year, and summer recreation programs, and in some of our school-wide events, such as Stand Tall and Rake for Fall, Parent-Teacher Volleyball, Family Bingo, and running the sensory room for our spooky dance, holiday brunch, and carnival events. Over the past 4 years, she served on John Street's site-based team, Beautiful Me, website, whole child committees, and is a member of the district's special education and technology committees. This year, Ms. Diorio became our school's technology mentor as a resource for our teachers and curriculum writer for the new social emotional program, Lion's Quest. Ms. Diorio is a lifelong learner who continues to enhance her pedagogy to support the whole child, as she's participated in courses regarding dyslexia, Orton Gillingham reading methodology, Math for All, and when students are in crisis. I am confident that Ms. Diorio will continue to provide high-quality learning experiences for our students in the years to come.
Thank you. Mr. Stella, speaking on behalf of Ms. Contino.
Hi, good evening, everyone. If you had asked me 4 years ago to predict what I would say about Ms. Contino as I recommended her for tenure, I would have imagined that I would speak of her love of literature, her ability to break down and simplify complex texts, or the patience she demonstrates when working with her students, which of course is why we hired her as a reading specialist in the district. I would have never have imagined that I would also mention her ability to teach her students how to find the area of an irregular shaped polygon, how photosynthesis works, or about the 3 branches of government. Well, as Ms. Contino likes to say in her reading room, there was a plot twist this year. In her unexpected 1-year role as a 5th grade teacher, Ms. Contino has not only promoted a love of literature through extraordinary English language arts lessons, but she has also developed lessons that have aligned with the next generation learning standards in both math and science. Here's what some of her students had to say about their year with Ms. Contino. I don't think Ms. Contino should go back to the reading room. Ms. Contino made math fun. Ms. Contino's classroom is always decorated so nice. Mr. Stella, please make Ms. Contino my 6th grade teacher next year. I'll keep Ms. Contino in suspense over that last comment, but I would like to thank her for not only surviving this year in this unexpected role, but thriving this year. It is with great pleasure and confidence that I recommend Ms. Noelle Contino for tenure.
Thank you, Mr. Stella.
Thank you.
And I will just share that Ms. Contino will be going back to reading next year. So with the board's approval, I'd like to ask if we can move to letter K under personnel and ask if the board approval can be requested of the following tenure appointments as listed for Ms. Noelle Contino and Ms. Jean Diorio.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations.
Well, congratulations.
Congratulations. We could not be prouder of, Ms. Contino and Ms. Diorio, and we're so thrilled, for their appointment this evening. At this time, I'd like to ask Ms. Gallagher to present the Scope Award, which is being presented posthumously to Pam Greenfield, who passed away earlier this school year due to COVID. The award will be delivered to her family this week. So I'm going to pass it along to Ms. Gallagher.
Thank you, Dr. Bloom. It's with great pride and pleasure that I introduce to the many of you who already know Pam Greenfield and love her dearly as a friend and colleague. Just a brief piece of information about her years here with us in the Franklin Square School District. Pamela Greenfield proudly served the Franklin Square School District since 1989. Pam first started her career in the district as a bus driver. Shortly thereafter, in 2006, Pam became the transportation director. Pam treated students, staff, and drivers as family members. Pam worked tirelessly for the families of the Franklin Square School District. She is credited with improving our routing, upgrading our buses, and putting protocols in place to keep our students and drivers safe. Pam was planning on retiring in March of 2021 to spend more time with her loving husband, Butch, and her beautiful daughter, Trish. Sadly, Pam passed away in January 2021. The entire community is saddened by this profound loss. We celebrate Pam's life and her many contributions to our district. We love her and miss her.
And we do plan to have her family in with us when we can all be together. Ms. Hoffman?
Yes, Dr. Bloom, I'd like to say something on behalf of the board. On behalf of the board, I would just like to acknowledge Pam Greenfield. All of a sudden, I'm getting very emotional. Sorry about that. I've known Pam since she was a bus driver when my children were going to Washington Street School back in the 90s. Over the years, I've grown into a friendship with Pam, and every time I'd see her at either a board meeting or someplace in the community, it was like yesterday that we saw each other. Pam was one of the most selfless people that I've ever met. She gave to the Franklin Square community in such a way. Our children were her children, and she made it her mission to make sure that every child was picked up and delivered back to their parents just as safe as they, left their parents. She spent so much time making sure that everything was perfect. And it was funny because you'd say to her, okay, Pam, we're going to do this or we're going to do that. And she'd say, sure, we'll get it done. And I'd say, to her all the time, I was like, you really work so hard. And she'd turn around and she'd say, because she loved it. So on behalf of the board, I just want to acknowledge the years and years of service that Pam has put into our kids and making sure our kids got from one place to another and back to their mommies and daddies safely. So thank you, Pam in heaven. I love you. We love you. And I love the beautiful pictures that her daughter is posting on Facebook on a regular basis. So Trish, keep those pictures posted of you and your mom. We love it. Thank you.
Thank you. As we've shared over the past few weeks, the district is receiving additional federal funds over the next 3 years. And one of the requirements of receiving these funds is to present our plan to the board and the community for any feedback. So Ms. Hennessy and I will now present, and if anyone has any questions or comments, I would ask that they reach out to Ms. Hennessy via email or phone this week. So Ms. Hennessy, do you want to share your screen?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Bloom. Good evening, everyone. As Dr. Bloom has introduced, we are receiving federal grant funds starting this coming school year that can be utilized for the next 3 years. This is good news for the district and is a very exciting opportunity for us to think about the different ways that we could enrich our educational program for our students under the grant guidelines. The first set of grants is called the American Rescue Plan Act. We've been awarded $1,571,133 under this act. These expenditures have to be only in the pre-approved expenditure categories as defined by the federal government,
and be utilized by 9/30/2023. The allocation to our district has been awarded as follows. The first allocation is referred to as the 90% LEA ARC ESSER allocation, and that is in the amount of $871,133. There is a rule that 20% of this 90% allocation, or $174,000, must be used to address learning loss. The next allocation speaks directly to our after-school program and must be used on the after-school program in the amount of $100,002. We also received another grant in the amount of $100,002 to be used for our summer recreation program. And lastly, Franklin Square was awarded an additional grant to be used for learning loss in the amount of $499,996. As following the grant regulations, we have a process in place where we held discussions with the various stakeholders and sought input, including our staff, our Board of Education members, and our presentation to the community this evening.
So some of the things that we're looking to do over the next 3 years with the money that has been allocated in these buckets include classroom libraries. So one of the areas that we want to increase is the number of books available to students in leveled libraries throughout the district. And so by the end of 3 years, we're looking to have anywhere from 300 to 500 books in every single classroom so that students have those books accessible at their level and interest. That'll be a huge addition for our students and our staff. We know that it's very important to focus on social emotional learning and mental health. And social workers are something that this district has been talking about for quite some time. With these funds, we are able to hire 2 social workers for our district to provide much needed support to our students and families. We're thrilled to be bringing back our morning care program in September. And with that, we feel that it's important to have morning care directors at each of our buildings to work with our families, to work with our staff, and just make sure that they run efficiently, and also, that we have all kinds of programs available for our students each morning. So the morning care directors will be taking care of that. As with any school year, we always have consulting services providing professional development to our teachers. And this allows us to provide additional ongoing sustained professional development in a whole host of areas, including literacy. And we're moving from RTI to multi-tiered support systems, which basically just includes all students in the process. And as we're talking about moving the dial for kids, this is really going to help us to make sure that we're all on the same page as we do that work. Sensory materials for summer ISP, nursing staff for our ACE program, especially since now we will have an ACE program in each of our buildings after school next year, and not just at Polk Street and Washington Street. We're going to be looking at our literacy program across the district and making sure that we have alignment and that we are looking at various phonics programs as well as literacy programs to enhance the work that we're already doing with Wonders currently. So this just kind of enhances the work. It's not replacing, but it's going to build on what we're already doing in our classrooms. And then finally, as you know from previous presentations, we are adding a math lab teacher in each of our buildings to support our students who need that support in math. And they're going to need materials and supplies. So we're thrilled that, again, we have these federal funds to be able to provide these materials and supplies to our students and the teachers. With that, I will turn it back over to Ms. Hennessy.
The next set of federal grants is referred to as the CRISA, or the Federal CARES Act. We've been awarded $1,784,893 under this act, to be utilized once again only for the pre-approved expenditure categories as defined by the federal government, and again by 9/30/2023. The allocation has been awarded in the following subcategories: the CRISA main allocation in the amount of $387,884, the CRISA ESSER 2 allocation in the amount of $1,179,728, and lastly, the CRISA Gear 2 allocation in the amount of $217,281. Just like with the American Rescue Plan Act, we followed a similar process in having conversations and seeking input from our stakeholders, which includes our staff, Board of Education members, and community members.
And so some of the things that we're looking to do with this funding stream for the next 3 years includes a literacy coach. Again, we talked about literacy materials. We are going to plan to hire a literacy coach that can help district-wide to make sure that we all have the same kind of vision, work directly with our assistant superintendent in terms of the literacy work that we're doing, work with the consultants to turnkey professional development training, model lessons, and support some of the work that we're doing in terms of the level libraries in the classrooms. We already have a STEM teacher district-wide, which is very innovative, and not a lot of districts have that. But we are also looking to add a coding teacher to our lineup to make sure that our students are having access to coding on a yearly basis. So we're still talking about how that person will, where they'll focus their efforts and whether it be particular grade levels or over the course of particular years, they'd be with certain grade levels, but it really will enhance our STEM program by providing our students with a cutting edge, working with a trained coding teacher throughout the school year in their classrooms. The next thing is the partnership with the National Center for Earth and Space Science Education. And this is really exciting because this allows our 5th and 6th graders to develop projects over the course of the next 3 years that could be on the space shuttle to the International Space Station. One team will be selected by outside researchers and their project goes up to space. The astronauts actually do the experiment in space. The students do the experiment here on Earth. And depending on the situation on the ground, the students often have the opportunity to go to the Smithsonian to present their research. It's a phenomenal opportunity, and this grant provides us the ability to do that. The replacement of aging active boards, we've had active boards in this district for many years. Many of them are 10 plus years old, and they really need to be replaced at this point. And often, they're either not usable or they're not working the way that they were working a few years ago. So we're looking to replace those aging active boards. Technology mentors are really not about providing tech support directly with technology, but more so with the software. So we're looking to have about 3 mentors in each building that can work with teachers, help them on some of the new software, help them with data analysis, help them to understand how to use some of the tools that we have purchased for our students and provide that day-to-day support so that our tech teams can focus on fixing and addressing some of the back-end materials that have to be done. Again, we talk about professional development. You need that ongoing sustained professional development for staff in order to move the dial for students. So we're looking to continue that great work. And then finally, one of the categories that is really important to this particular funding stream is improving air quality and ventilation. And we're looking to put air conditioning in the Washington Street Gymnasium, which is the only gym that does not have that at this point. And the air conditioning at Polk Street Library Computer Lab is not working correctly, and so that needs to be replaced. Senesi?
Thank you, Dr. Bloom.
And I think, Ms. Hennessy, do you want to just quickly mention those staffing positions that will continue beyond the federal funds 3 years from now?
Sure. So as you may have noticed from the presentation, some of these are what we refer to as recurring expenditures, which means that they're expenditures that are more than a one-time expense. We'll carry them in our budget continuously. We do have a plan for how we will fund these expenditures once these federal grants do run out. If you are familiar with the budget process, we spoke at length about the fact that we have had foundation aid, which is a state aid revenue stream, withheld from us for a number of years from the state government. The state government has now agreed to fully fund the Franklin Square District, among other districts in the state, within the next 3 years. So we should see quite a significant influx of state aid, which will be recurring and will be coming to us year over year, in which we can use those funds to pay for these recurring expenditures when the federal grant stream stops.
Great, thank you so much. Does the board have any questions? Okay. Before we move on to 4B, I'd like to have a walk-in item, Mr. Toto.
Okay.
Board approval is requested of the purchase of equipment for operational purposes, whereas the Board of Education of the Franklin Square Union Free School District has determined that the purchase of various equipment is necessary in order to sustain district operations. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby declares the purchase of such equipment to be an ordinary contingent expense in an amount not to exceed $530,000 and authorizes the Assistant Superintendent of Finance and Management to fund such expenses by making the appropriate and necessary transfers between budgetary appropriation codes.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay,
Board
thank you.
approval is requested on the following cases of the Committee on Preschool Special Education as listed.
Move it.
Dr. Bloom,
Yes,
we need to approve the minutes from the May meetings.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Board approval is requested of the minutes of the Board of Education meeting of May 4th, 2021.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Board approval is requested of the minutes of the Board of Education of meeting of May 13th, 2021.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And board approval is requested of the minutes of the Board of Education meeting of May 18th, 2021.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, Dr. Bloom.
Do we need to do 4B again? Are we good with 4B?
No, you're good.
No, you're good.
Okay. 4C, sorry about that. Board approval is requested of the 504 committee in the following cases.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Board approval is requested of the recommendations of the Committee on Special Education in the following cases as listed.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Board approval is requested of the Treasurer's Cash Reconciliation Report and Cash Flow Statement for the period ending April 30th, 2021.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Board approval is requested of the Budget Status Report for the period ending April 30th, 2021.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Board approval is requested of the warrant reports for the for April 2021.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Board approval is requested of the appropriation status reports as listed.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Board approval is requested of the trial balance report for the month of April 2021.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Board approval is requested of the health and welfare contract for the 2021 school year.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Board approval is requested of the over 5,000 budgetary transfer as listed.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Board approval is requested of the following civil service probationary appointment as listed.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Board approval is requested of the following leave of absence requests.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Board approval is requested of the following leave replacement assignments.
Move it.
Second.
Excuse me, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Board acceptance is requested of the following resignations as listed.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Board acceptance is requested of the following retirements as listed, and if it's okay with the board, I would just, before the board approves, I just want to congratulate Ms. Hill, Ms. Hanratty, and Ms. Schwenk on their retirement. We thank them for their years of service in this district. We appreciate all they've done, and we really wish them well in retirement. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck. Congratulations.
Thank you. Reluctantly, I move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Toto, can I just take a moment of personal privilege?
Yes, you may.
Okay, over the years, Ms. Hanratty has been a member of our community for 19 years. And over the years, because she is my cousin, I have not been able to vote for anything where her name was. I've recused myself from every vote. Regretfully, I will vote for this because I know the next chapter of her life is going to be wonderful. And I wish all three of these people well. And I again want to wish my cousin, Christine Hanratty, the best. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you, Ms. Hoffman.
Board approval is requested the following civil service probationary appointments.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Board approval is requested the following civil service non-probationary appointments.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Board approval is requested the following seasonal help.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Board approval is requested of the appointment of staff for the 2020 ISP extended year program per the attached memo. I think that
Aye. Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ms. Mione, should that say 2021,
Yeah.
right?
Do you need another move it?
I think so. I think we need to amend it to 2021 ISP extended year program, sorry.
I move it to
Yes.
amend it.
Yes.
Second it.
All in favor to amend to 2021?
Aye.
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 Board approval is requested of the staff for the 2021 summer recreation program per the attached memo.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Board approval is requested to disband the Citizens Budget Advisory Committee, read the 2021-22 budget.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Board approval is requested of the memorandums of agreement between the Franklin Square District and the individuals listed.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Board approval is requested of the General and Labor Council retainer for the attorney for the district for the 21-22 school year, Balls and Vigliata.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Board approval is requested of the consultant service contract between the Franklin Square District and the following contractors as listed.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Board approval is requested of the superintendent's attendance at the New York State Council of School Superintendents Fall Leadership Summit in September the 26th through the 28th.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Board approval is requested of the employment agreement between the Franklin Square Union Free School District and Laura Greco School District Bus Dispatcher.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Board approval is requested of the additional outside agency to provide student services for the 2021 school year.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Board approval is requested the following individual independent and outside agency contracts to provide student services for the 21-22 school year.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Board approval is requested of the establishment of the ISP extended year program for the 21-22 school year as July 6th through August 16th, 2021.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Board approval is requested of the establishment of the morning care program for the 21-22 school year as September 13th, 2021 through June 24th, 2022.
Move it.
second,
Favor?
Aye.
Aye. Glad it's
What a-
back.
We're
I
we're
was just
very
gonna
happy
say
to
that.
have our morning care
Yes.
program back.
Between the morning, aftercare, and summer rec, it's pretty exciting to have all these programs.
And we
So
have
good
a
to see it
great-
back.
Board approval is requested of the establishment of the ACE program for the 21-22 school year as September 13th through June 22nd, 2022.
Move it.
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Board approval is requested of the establishment of the ISP Extended Day Program for the 21-22 school year as September 13th through June 16th, Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 3:15 to 4:45.
Move it.
second,
All in favor?
aye,
Aye.
Board approval is requested of the authorization of the following reserve accounts under general municipal law and/or education law as listed.
Move it.
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Board approval is requested of a donation of 2 water stations from the Polk Street PTA per agreement.
Move it.
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
aye,
Aye.
And Mr. Toto, if I can, I just want to thank the Polk Street PTA for their generous donation. We'll certainly send a thank you letter. And just to all of our PTAs have been unbelievable this year. And I know I continue to say it, and we all continue to say it. They are our rock, and they help us in every way possible. And again, we thank them for all that they do. Board approval is requested to recycle obsolete technology equipment per the attached list.
Move it.
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Dr. Bloom. Board reports. Ms. Hoffman, legislation?
No report tonight. Thank you, Mr. Toto.
Okay, you're welcome. New business?
Do we need a motion?
Sorry, my computer froze. Dr. Bloom, do we need a motion on number 2?
I believe we do for the slate of officers and committee members. Is that correct, Ms. Mione?
Yes, it is.
I
Okay.
move the slate of officers and the approval of the budget for the Nassau Suffolk School Board Association as presented.
second,
Thank you. All in favor?
aye,
Aye.
Okay, Dr. Bloom, voice of the resident.
Okay, so we did receive some questions in advance, but what I would ask is if there is anybody that has a question that they would like to ask, please just make sure you include your first and last name if it's not already listed, and then we will read your question aloud and answer the questions. So I'm going to start with the questions that we received in advance, and then I do see we have at least one question in the Q&A already. But again, we will wait for if anybody has additional questions. So the first question is, will the board be prepared to stand with the parents and unmask the children if these mask mandates are not lifted in September?
Dr. Bloom, I'll take that one. So while we understand the frustration over the past year and certainly the confusion over the past 72 hours, the board and the district actually have no authority regarding masks other than what has been allowed by the updated interim guidance provided by the New York State Department of Health. So we're required by law to follow these rules. And when districts do not follow these rules, there is a possibility they can receive sanctions or be shut down by the New York State Department of Health. So where the district has been given any flexibility in the decision-making process, the Board of Education and the Reentry Committee have provided it.
Thank you, Mr. Toto. What can we do to ensure activities resume in September? Class trips, celebrations, dances, sixth grade activities such as a sports night, etc. So if it's okay, Mr. Toto, I will take this question. We are very hopeful that next year will bring a tremendous amount of additional activities that we were unable to do this year. So we're already starting at the end of this school year with some things that we have not announced yet. We have a whole host of individuals coming in over the summer for summer rec. And we're hoping to build on that for the school year. So September may get us, we may have a little bit of a slow start, but we're hoping to have concerts next year and to bring back a lot of these events. Again, we're certainly monitoring what's happening, but if anything, if the numbers are anything what they are right now or anything like they are right now, we certainly will see a tremendous amount of additional activities during the school day and after school and evening. And again, we're bringing back morning care, we're bringing back ACE, we're really getting back to as much normal, as we can in the school year. And we're really excited by all of the things that we're going to be doing next year, and look forward to bringing many, many of these activities back. There's a question about when will kids be allowed to interact with their classmates during recess? If the teachers can sit and eat lunch together, why can't students in the same grade play together? We certainly, understand, and we continue to look at the guidance and look at how we're going to be able to work through that to make sure that we're following and complying with the regulations. So I think you will see changes as we go through the summer and certainly into the fall. Again, assuming that we don't get any guidance that doesn't allow that to happen, but I don't think that will happen. So we'll continue to monitor that. And that question, I don't know if I mentioned, was from Mrs. Opek. The next question is from Mrs. Gelosa. She says, Garden City, our neighbor, changed classes all year this year safely. Why can't our sixth graders change classes next year?
Dr. Bloom, I'll take this one. So that hasn't even been a discussion with the board yet. So I don't believe the district has announced any details regarding changes of classes for next year. I'm confident that Dr. Bloom and his administrative team will look at all aspects of the student experience next year to see what can be done.
The next question comes from Ms. La Sorenza. When do you think the board meetings will be open to the public again and no longer virtual? Is this due to state guidelines? If so, is there any way they could perhaps be held outdoors with a limited number of people or any other loopholes?
All right, so the current governor's executive order allows for virtual meetings currently through June 16th. He may extend this executive order. However, we'll continue to review them along with the Department of Health guidelines to determine the date for a return to in-person meetings. And I think that we're all hopeful that, we'll be in person, come September, but it's all pending the governor's executive orders.
Okay, and the next question is similar to the other question, which is, I would like to know how I can help get activities back for our children. I understand we have to follow the guidelines set by the state. However, I see other districts having events and I'm wondering why can't we? So if it's okay, I'll just respond to this and just say, we are looking to bring back as many events as possible. We have been looking at different events in each of the buildings. We brought back Field Day and we're doing some end of year events for our sixth graders. We're doing other events in other grade levels. And I think next year you're going to see a tremendous addition, to what we were able to do this year based on the current guidelines and planning for those events. So, and we'll continue to also work. Many of these events are also PTA events. So I know our PTAs are working hard on planning already with the principals and with their own teams. And I fully expect that they'll be coming forward with some really great ideas for next year. So again, we're really excited. The next question comes from Ms. Stratakis. She says, remote kids are not being included in field day activities at their home school. Very disappointing. They should at least get what the other kids get, t-shirt, water bottle, etc. This was an outdoor activity and should have been opened up to remote students. So we certainly understand that the online experience for field day was not exactly what it was in the school, and we're going to look into that. And certainly we're looking for our sixth graders at events for the end of the school year, and we'll continue to have conversations about how we can make sure that all of our students, remote, in person, are included as much as possible in all activities going forward through the end of this school year. So Ms. Gallagher, did you want to add anything to that, or?
No, I think you handle it nicely, Dr. Bloom. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from Ms. Gatto. She says, can parents have a survey regarding masks? This should be a parent's choice at this point.
So at the start of the pandemic, the state put the New York State Department of Health in charge of the guidelines that school districts need to follow. And these guidelines are not optional, and they're the equivalent of law. So even if we were to send out a survey, we have to follow the law. So there are some decisions that the guidance allows districts to make. Unfortunately, masks are now one of them. And in fact, the governor made clear that the only decision that the districts have are regarding masks in outdoor spaces. And I think that our district, compared to the component districts, were one of the first to ease up the wearing of masks out in during recess and outdoor gym before some of our local communities. So thank you, Dr. Bloom.
Next question comes from Ms. Teta. Please consider implementing a new reading program in K and first grade that focuses on phonemic awareness. Our children need a stronger foundation in the lower grades. Super Kids is a terrible program and needs to go. So I don't want to speak specifically about particular programs, but what I will say is we are doing a complete curriculum audit. We are bringing on a literacy coach. We are going to be working with literacy consultants, and we are looking at programs across the district that can support the work that we are doing. So we're working through that, and hopefully we will have information to the community soon. The next question is from Ms. Dunnigan, and she says, what are the district's plans for a normal 21-22 school year? And if it's okay, Mr. Toto, this is similar to what we've said before. We're looking for one start time. We're looking for a morning care and aftercare program. We're looking to get back many of the activities that we didn't have this school year. And, we're hopeful that that will happen. So, we have certain things in our reentry plan 2.0, but I've made it very clear that that is just based on current information. And we fully expect that we will be able to make changes and updates, and definitely, even if the guidance doesn't change, we'll certainly make sure that we have many of those activities back next year. And that includes, and we've been doing this anyway in the last couple of weeks, we've certainly, and even actually from the beginning of the year, we've celebrated birthdays. We have been allowing class parties. In fact, there was just a Memorial Day party in all of the school buildings with ices. And so we thank our teams for putting that together. And then there's a question about, will the sixth grade be able to move around classes? And again, no decision has been made on that. As Mr. Toto alluded, we'll look at that. Ms. Oso asks, has the district hired a school librarian, and will the students be attending the library and be able to take out books for the upcoming school year? So the answer is yes. Yes, we're in the process. The administrators are interviewing candidates right now. We fully anticipate that we will have a candidate to the board soon. And students will absolutely be able to take out books from the library next year. Ms. Cavalier, what will the entry protocol be? How many students in the class? Will there be a virtual option if a class needs to quarantine? I can't speak to this at this point, Mr. Toto, only because we don't know what the governor and the Department of Health is going to require. As of right now, we do need to have all of the same protocols for entry into the building, the health form that we have students do every day. Class sizes, we're looking to keep them as small as possible next year. And we are looking at that very, very carefully with our teams to make sure that as we're looking at students being anywhere from 3 to 6 feet apart, that we have plenty of space for them to have small group instruction, with their teachers to make sure, especially in our younger classes, they have room for centers and some of the other things that need to occur. And so we'll be, again, looking at that carefully and making sure that our numbers are reflecting that. And then in terms of virtual, I can't speak to that at this point. I think, let's just see what happens. Hopefully we won't be quarantining any classes in the fall. Ms. Yetman asks, did you have a say in the no talking at lunch or no singing happy birthday policy? And will you be joining Massapequa in the fight for our kids? So although we didn't have a no singing happy birthday policy, we certainly had a policy from the Department of Health at the beginning of the school year where students had to be 12 feet apart to sing. And so we had to make adjustments to how we handled that in classrooms. The music was played, students were celebrated, and certainly that has changed because now we can be 6 feet apart. And I thank our music teachers who have been doing an unbelievable job. Kids are singing, music is happening, and it's wonderful. In terms of no talking at lunch, I will say that the minute that came to my office, that was corrected immediately. That was not something that was ever intended by the guidance and certainly not intended by our administration and somehow was interpreted, and again, the minute we found out about it, that was addressed where it was occurring. Ms. Moriarty asks, are you going to be properly staffed? Example, psychologists, AIS teachers for all classes, etc. The answer is yes, we will be fully staffed in September. So those are the questions that were sent in previously. Now I'll move to the questions that are online. So we have from Ms. Gatto, why can't we have air conditioning in all classrooms with some of this funding? So we are looking into a study regarding air conditioning. I know that the district did a number of years ago, and Ms. Hennessy, if I misspeak or if you need to add to this, please don't hesitate. But I believe that the funding amount was anywhere from $8 to $12 million to put in the air conditioning, and in addition, it requires studies, it requires electric upgrades, it requires SED approval. There's a whole bunch of procedures that have to go in play. And then on top of it, it has to be approved by the voters. So that's why in this case, we can do a small portion. And again, it has to be connected to that ventilation piece. And so that's where we're looking at. Certainly, Washington Street Gym is used often. There's a cooling location, and it's also an area where we have many, many events. If we're looking to bring back concerts and some of the other graduation, et cetera, having it there will be important. Ms. Gelosa said it was stated at the last meeting. I'm not sure that that's a question, but I certainly, if there's additional information. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, I see. You stated at the last meeting that sixth grade will not change classes. Again, everything that we've said is that the reentry plan 2.0 is what we know at this moment in time based on the current guidelines that we have, and we fully expect guidelines to change. And so we're going to constantly look at this and make adjustments as needed. And so what we're saying right now that we're not going to have any visitors in the building, and we're not going to have any building use in the building. We're going to revisit that in August. So those things I think will change as time goes on, assuming that nothing changes with the numbers as they stand right now. So hopefully that helps. I understand that we have to put certain things in our plan as they stand right now, but I'll continue to say the plan is constantly changing every single day. We have to go back into our plan and say that now outdoors students don't have to wear masks, because in our plan it says students have to wear masks, right? So we're adjusting that as we go. Ms. Fayad asks, what funds do you plan to use for special education students besides materials, perhaps updated programs and services for ISP students? And certainly, I think I will make sure that we bring that back to our special ed team and make sure that we are updating on our programs and supports and providing new services, new materials, and programs. And our special ed department also receives grants separate from the grants that we talked about this evening. They receive specific special education funding that can be used for all of those things referenced here. The next question is from Ms. Opak. What is the difference between ACs blowing air around rooms and fans? Mr. Toto, can I have Ms. Hennessy answer this question?
Yes, you may.
Okay, Ms. Hennessy.
Sure. So the main difference is that air conditioners are vented to the outside air and they're providing fresh air intake, whereas fans are not. They're just blowing the same air around the classrooms. Additionally, the CDC has specifically stated that fans are not allowed, while as they're encouraging air conditioners, again, because of that fresh air intake.
Thank you. Ms. La Sorenza asks, then we can assume if we will have aftercare in September, then the kids can interact. Certainly, we have to have kids in aftercare together that may not be in class together. And we, assuming we are still required to contact trace, and again, if anybody watched the governor's press conference, he talked about after 70%, some contact tracing may or may not be required in certain places. I'm not sure if that includes schools or not, but if it does, then certainly we will keep rosters of who's in that room so that we know in the event that we had to do contact tracing. Again, please understand it's a little bit harder outside when we have multiple classes that are connecting and trying to figure out who's playing together versus having a room where there's a morning care program or aftercare where they're in the room together at all times. But, and this is the big but, we are hoping that we will have a lot more flexibility by September so that kids can have a lot more interaction. We just have to wait a little bit longer before we can announce any additional changes to our plan if they happen. Okay, Ms. Dunnigan asked, will the plexiglass be removed for 2021? The committee was comfortable removing it for 21-22, so they will be removed over the summer prior to summer recreation. When we get ready to, break down our rooms and our custodians have to, find places to put them and they have to take off all the little pieces. So that'll happen over the summer, but they are going away. The committee did discuss that. And again, it hasn't been updated in our plan yet, but it will be. Ms. Gelosa, who gave the orders for the children not to talk at lunch? This went on until May. This is unacceptable. Children are unhappy at school. What is going on to change this? Mr. Toda, do you want to take that or do you want me to?
No, Dr. Bloom, you can take that.
Okay. So, I have to say I walk the halls of the schools. I know our administrators are walking the halls of our schools and kids are having a great time. I understand that there was a challenge with talking at lunch, but the minute that came to our attention, that was addressed. And it was immediately rectified and it's not happening. So again, I'm not 100% sure when we're saying that children are unhappy at school, but I understand that, that was a challenge and we do apologize for any confusion with that. And certainly the minute that came to our attention that it was happening in certain places, that was addressed and rectified. Thank you, Ms. Opak. Ms. Fayad, will the children who were in summer rec be air-conditioned rooms should the mask mandate still be in place? We are looking at all of the rooms that we have for air conditioning. We are making sure, we have some bathroom construction going on this summer. That's part of the construction plan that didn't happen last summer. So we're going to do the best we can, but we will have cooling spaces throughout each of the buildings. And, students are going to be outside quite a bit in the short amount of time that they're with us. Ms. Dunnigan says, so won't contact tracing be an issue with aftercare? It's not necessarily an issue because we can trace who is in that room. So, just like, if somebody sends their child to an outside daycare or aftercare program, they know who's there. They take that information, they do the health check, and that information is then available. Ms. Gelosa says, was the board aware of this, and why will this board not stand with Massapequa? We, the parents, are asking you to. Then Ms. Durkin says, do we have information from the transportation survey yet to have an idea about busing and schedules? We do have quite a bit of information. We're still working on busing schedules, but we are hopeful that we are going to be able to move to one start time. So really excited about getting back to as normal a schedule as possible for our kids. And we appreciate this community's patience and as we work through that, but it certainly is looking like we will have one schedule for sure. Ms. Malman says, there has been a complete disconnect between the guidelines changing and the education of our staff. How do we know that next year the staff will be educated in guidelines and how strictly they should or should not be adhered to? Is there a system in place in regards to educating your staff? So I can only speak to, just recently with the changing guidelines, we had a district-wide meeting. Everybody was on that meeting. Everybody heard the same message. And as of today, my understanding is that outdoors, any student, had the ability to have their mask off. Again, we do understand that there are some families that have told their children they want them to wear a mask, and some kids that may not feel comfortable taking their mask off. However, there is no requirement to wear a mask outdoors from this point forward. And that has been clearly provided to our staff across the board, just to make sure that everybody knows what the guidelines are. And in terms of any new guidelines, we will have summer training regarding any new information that comes out from the state, and also any district procedures that change. We'll make sure that we have those meetings and we share those guidelines accordingly. Okay. And that is it in terms of, no, I'm sorry, one more question. Ms. Dunnigan says, will the board stand with Massapequa and other districts in the battle to remove masks? And that is the last question or statement. Thank you, Mr. Toto. Sorry, Mr. Toto, there's one more. Is there a plan for incoming kindergartners since these children only had 2 days of pre-K versus the usual 5 as far as the curriculum? And yes, we certainly have students that are coming in, at different times from different pre-K programs that may be 2 days, 3 days, 5 days. And our teachers are trained professionals. They're a phenomenal group of kindergarten teachers, and they will make sure that all students end in the same place, and we'll work with them. Ms. Gallagher, do you want to add to that at all?
Sorry, Dr. Bloom. No, I mean, we have a solid kindergarten curriculum in place, and I think our teachers have done a phenomenal job working through the pre-K kindergarten curriculum, and I'm confident that our currently enrolled and newly enrolled pre-K students will have a successful kindergarten experience, but we'll be monitoring progress as we go for all students.
Thank you. And then Ms. Farella says, when will our kids be mask-free? Again, we are doing everything we can within the guidelines that have been provided to us. We have to follow, as Mr. Toto said, we have to follow the law. We have to follow the New York State Department of Health guidelines. They are required of districts. And where flexibility can be provided within the guidelines, we're certainly, following the guidelines. And so outdoors, our students are not wearing masks. That is not required. Again, they can certainly do so if they want to, or if families want them to. Same thing with staff inside. we are following our reentry plan as we've discussed previously. Okay. Do we as a district, Ms. Opak, do we as a district not agree with what Massapequa is doing? So I don't, Mr. Toto, do you mind if I take
Yeah,
that?
I'd like you to enlighten me, because at this point, we were elected to serve for Franklin Square. We're also elected to follow all of the guidance, whether we agree or disagree with it, that's provided by the New York State Department of Health, which I think we're doing. So whether we're following Massapequa or not, we're following Franklin Square, and we're following the guidance that's given to us from the New York State Department of Health. So if you can enlighten me on what's going on in Massapequa, that would be great.
I'm not sure exactly, to be honest, what's happening in Massapequa, but what I can say, and I don't ever like to speak about other districts, and so this is not directed at any specific district. All I can say is that every district in New York State has been directed by the governor and the Department of Health that we have to follow the guidelines as they have put them out. And if you don't, they will sanction you. If they don't, they will shut you down. And the governor's office will call. They have no problem doing this. And I'm not reporting anything that anybody has not reported in the news. And again, this is not directed at any district. I certainly understand every district does what again, I don't want to speak about other districts or what they're doing. What I can say is the governor has been very clear. He's been very clear. We have to follow Department of Health guidelines. And when we don't, he will shut us down or he will sanction us and provide us with fines. So that's all I can say. We have to follow the law. So we are following the law, but we are providing the flexibility allowed within the guidelines. And I have to say it again. I know I said it earlier, but our board, our reentry committee, the minute that announcement came out, everybody quickly came together to have a meeting so that it could be implemented today for our kids. And I'm thankful to them for that. Ms. Murray asked, why is pre-K not able to have an indoor end of year celebration with family as in years past, especially with the latest rule that masks are not required outdoors? I'm sorry, to have an outdoor end of year celebration. This really just, we are unable to, with all of the requirements, and I understand that at the last minute there have been some changes in mask mandates, but with all of the requirements, we are focused right now on making sure that we are providing our sixth grade students who are leaving us with individual ceremonies and making sure that we can provide social distancing for those and follow all of the regulations that we are required to follow in terms of collecting information as people enter. There's all kinds of rules that we have to go through. So I do appreciate and understand, but please know that our pre-K and kindergarten students are still celebrating in their classrooms, and those celebrations are going to be very special. So we do appreciate. Ms. Gelosa, why are you ignoring the question regarding Massapequa? Are you saying that if they don't change the mandates, you will keep the school year the same? I think Mr. Toto, I think we've answered that question.
I think so as well. I would just like to say, if we're talking about Massapequa, although I don't like to speak about other districts either, Massapequa did put out an email or a letter to the community stating that they were going to make masks optional until the governor and the New York State Department of Health then told us that wasn't an option. And then the email went out to the community stating that masks will need to be worn inside. So we're following exactly what the New York State Department of Health is asking us to follow at this time. I think we've answered this question multiple times in many different ways, and I'm not really sure how many other ways we could possibly say it at this point.
Ms. Mallman, does your staff have air conditioning? There are spaces throughout the district that do have air conditioning. Ms. Gatto, are you showing support to unmask kids or do you want to keep kids masks on? Massapequa was fighting to unmask the kids. That is what is being asked. Ms. Gelosa, does the board agree with the decision that our district Mr. Toto, I'm going to not ask this question aloud because it deals specifically with a particular student and the individual's child, and legally we cannot address an issue related to a child in this district or a staff member.
Thank you, Dr. Bloom.
Okay. The question is, how do I contact them to discuss it? Certainly, if you send an email, I will forward your request to the board, and they will have that information. Okay, Mr. Toto, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bloom. Thank you to our community members for joining us tonight and for their questions. At this time, I'd like a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.